Uh, all right. Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone present here. My name is Hetal, and I will be your host for this event. I welcome you all to the Valedictory of Epsilon India 2022, organized by Raising a Mathematician Foundation in association with Chennai Mathematical Institute. It's already been 15 days. Like I didn't even realize it's been 15 days. It felt like these 15 days flew by in a jiffy. The students got introduced to a lot of various mathematical topics covered by our faculty, and that will help ignite their curious minds as they venture on to do bigger things in their lives. We will learn more about what exactly happened in the camp. Our TAs will summarize that. But according to me, what is more important that these students had a lot of fun exploring math, doing solving math problems, and they made many new friends with whom they can discuss math problems with going forward, and they can exchange ideas. So let's invite a couple of our TAs to who are going to summarize the two batches, Sridhara and Brahmagupta. So I would like to invite Sai, followed by Sundar, who are going to talk about what happened in the camp.
Hi, I'm Sai and I was one of the TAs for the first year students, also known as the Sridhara batch. And I was one of the TAs out of we also had Hetri, Parth, and Ruli in the same batch as TAs. So yeah, in the first week, the student in Dr. Shiv Kumar's classes, the students started off with a very simple remainder problem, which then at the end of the week they were exploring new divisibility tests. They were coming up and proving new divisibility tests for numbers like 2009, 2011, and there were also lots of new tests found by some of our own students for 7 and 11. In week 2, Dr. K.V. Subramanian touched a lot of topics. He talked about the pigeonhole principle, induction, graph theory, and also Ramsey theory. The sessions by Reshma ma'am, which were there for 2 weeks, they were very interactive, and the students were motivated to discover the concepts of limits and calculus on their own. So when they go on and see the concepts in 11th or 12th grade, they'll be already be knowing all of this stuff, and they came up with it all on their own. They also had long discussions on different topics like 4 dimensions, 5 dimensions, and yeah, there were sessions by Dr. Thomas. They were also very intense. They were about different proof methods and proofs of proof methods. They learned about the well-ordering principle, the extended Euclidean algorithm for solving Diophantine equations, and lots of more stuff. We also had office hours where the students collaborated with each other and worked on their homeworks together. I would like to give the mic to Sundar Anna, who was a TA for the senior students.
Thank you, Sai. My name is Sundar Raman, and it was my pleasure to be a teaching assistant for the Brahmagupta batch along with Manu for Epsilon 22, where we had the opportunity to work with some really amazing young minds. So, in the first week, we had sessions by Dr. Shivkumar, Dr. Thomas, and we also had officers. So, Dr. Shivkumar sirs were very exploratory. So, he started with simple puzzles and then went on to introduce complex concepts like modular arithmetic, ring of integers model, and various other things to the students. Dr. T, on the other hand, introduced the axiomatic definition of set theory in the first week and discussed all the foundation axioms on which the whole set theory rests upon. The students had interesting questions from these sessions and worked among themselves and also with the TAs in the offices. So, along with this, in the first week, we had guest lectures by Hetal ma'am, Dr. Hariharan, Dr. Anjana, Mr. Sridhar, and Mr. Nishwami. So the guest lectures were attended by both the Sridhara and the Brahmagupta batches. Hetal ma'am talked about managing our time effectively. Dr. Hariharan sir talked about contract theory and how it relates with the utility function. Dr. Anjana talked about machine learning and artificial intelligence. Mr. Sridhar, a psychologist, talked about feelings and emotions and how we can manage our body to not react to these emotions. So this was the first session, which was not mathematical for the students. So that was very interesting. Mr. Nish's sessions was a very unique session where he discussed quantitative methods in public health and how math could actually save lives. All this was just covered in the first week of Epsilon. So in the second week of Epsilon, we had sessions by Dr. Aditya Karnataki in the morning, office hours in the afternoon, Dr. T's sessions and guest lectures in the evening. However, for the Brahmagupta batch, we also had presentations in the second week. So each student in the Brahmagupta batch was assigned a published math paper at the beginning of the camp, which they had to read and present in front of the faculties Dr. Hariharan, Mr. Vinay Nair, and Dr. Murlidhar. So the students worked very hard to understand the nuances of the paper and also how to present the understanding of the paper. Coming back to the lectures, Dr. Aditya Karnataki started with the binomial coefficients and connected various topics in mathematics like algebra, number theory, and combinatorics, and introduced the students to the beautiful concept of Bernoulli numbers. In the evening session, Dr. T continued with set theory and actually defined natural numbers by just using the axioms from set theory. He also went further and defined integers, rational numbers, and showed the students the idea of how to create real numbers, and thus setting up the whole system of numbers that we actually use in mathematics by just applying the 10 axioms of set theory. The second week, we had guest sessions by Tapan Sir, Kreya, and Dr. Tyler. Mr. Tapan talked about artificial intelligence and sustainability in his first session, and in his second session, he talked about physics, philosophy, and had fun physical activities with the students. Dr. Tyler from Harvard introduced the topic of fractals to the student and had them explore fractals using simple problems, and then related them to mathematical concepts like asymptotes. Finally, Kreya had the students work hands-on in machine learning using training models on their platform. So this was all that we covered in Epsilon 2022. And once again, I thank Raising a Mathematician and Epsilon India to give me a chance to interact with such young minds. Thank you.
Thank you, Sai, and thank you, Sundar, for summarizing the whole camp in such a beautiful manner. Moving on, we have a little surprise for all the students. So Shreyas has put together this wonderful video collecting all the small memories from the camp. So let me quickly share my screen. And somebody can confirm when you can see my screen.
Yes.
Wow, that really summarized the camp in just 6 minutes. Thank you, Shreyas, for this amazing video. All right, moving on. I think our chief guest, Professor Ravgarden, has joined. So, Professor, I would first like to thank you for being here and taking out this time from your extremely busy schedule to interact with the students and the audience here. Generally it is the host's responsibility to introduce the chief guest, but I guess we have some bigger fans of yours and your work at Raising a Mathematician, and they were really excited to know that you're going to be here today. And one of your biggest fans is, I would say, is Adityan from Raising a Mathematician. He has been associated with us for past several years. He first joined as a student and now he's graduated to become a mentor for the new students. He's a third year undergraduate student at Chennai Mathematical Institute studying math and computer science. And I would like to invite him to introduce you.
Thanks a lot, Hetal. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Professor Ravgarden. Professor Ravgarden is a professor in computer science at Columbia University. He is the head of research at Andreessen Horowitz and the founder of Parallel Lines Consulting. His research in algorithmic game theory is well respected, and his contributions to selfish routing and price of anarchy has been paradigm shifting. His current work on blockchains is super exciting, and for his contributions, he's recipient of the ACM Grace Murray Hopper Award, Presidential Early Career Award for Scientists and Engineers, and the prestigious Kalai Prize and the Gödel Prize for his contributions. He is also the recipient of the Guggenheim Fellowship. He was an invited speaker at the 2006 International Congress of Mathematicians, where the Fields Medal is awarded to star mathematicians. And he also delivered the Shapley Lecture at the 2008 World Congress of the Game Theory Society. He's also a very enthusiastic teacher. I have benefited a lot due to his courses. He has authored and edited over 10 books and monographs, including 20 lectures on algorithmic game theory, beyond worst case analysis of algorithms, algorithms illuminated, and algorithmic game theory. Personally, I have been inspired a lot by his work, and I'm sure he will inspire all of us today. Thank you very much for gracing our valedictory, Professor Ravgarden. Over to you, Tim.
All right, thanks so much, Adityan, for the kind introduction, and thanks for inviting me to participate. I've been reading a bit about the program, and of course, just seeing the videos and the testimonies so far. It's really quite inspiring, and so I look forward to hopefully meeting some of you in real life. Adityan, maybe for us it won't be that long. For some of the students, I realize it might be a little longer, but nonetheless, it'd be great to in the coming years hopefully cross paths with some of you. So this event is really all about the students, right? So I just want to make some sort of maybe brief remarks. I think I'd like to maybe talk about how when you're actually, this is something hopefully you've all picked up over the last couple of years, like when you start actually doing math on sort of a day-to-day basis, you realize it's actually quite a bit different than what you might have thought it had been like, in the way it's sort of portrayed, kind of in, I don't know, on TV or what have you. So like one part of that you may have, hopefully you've already experienced is it's a truly creative discipline. You look on TV and someone who sort of does math, right? So maybe they're like, doing like calculations really quickly or something like that. That's like the stereotype of a mathematician in like a television show. But whenever I'm sort of meeting sort of random people and trying to tell them what my day-to-day life is like, I really say you should really think about it more like someone who's like a sculptor, or like a painter, or like a novelist, right? That's really actually the nature of the work, where you spend long periods of time sort of thinking hard, trying to come up with sort of that out of the box idea to crack the problem that no one had cracked before. And over again, I talk to people who have other professions, and they're completely shocked to hear me say this. They had no idea that it's fundamentally a very creative pursuit. So that's an example by what I mean about sort of when you start actually doing it day to day, you sort of realize there's this sort of whole world that you didn't know about. And so what I thought I'd talk just a little bit about, which maybe you've experienced, maybe not, is the idea that there are many, many, many different types of mathematicians, and that's really sort of a strength. And it's really important, I think, for all kinds of mathematicians to have respect and appreciation for all of the rest, for those that are not necessarily like them. I just wanted to give you two examples of what I mean, different types of mathematicians. So one would be, I'm going to paint this as a dichotomy. Obviously, lots of people sort of fall partially into both camps, but most mathematicians tend to identify either primarily as a problem solver or primarily as a theory builder, right? And so often, like the real, often the biggest headlines are reserved for the people that crack, like, the super famous, like, open problems, right? So like Andrew Wiles solving, Fermat's last theorem, or sort of Gregor Perelman, like solving the Poincare conjecture. And, they deserve all of those accolades, obviously. Those are such sort of amazing, deeply creative results. But sometimes I think what gets short shrift kind of, in the sort of public portrayal is how much happens to lead up to the point at which you can have a major event like the resolution of, say, the Poincare conjecture or something like that. So, right, because like before anyone proves any theorems, right, you need to first actually like set up even the language in which you're going to phrase the theorems, right? And so for example, you need mathematical definitions, right? Even before mathematical definitions, you tend to just need some basic terminology so that you have crisp definitions that you can think clearly about. And so that's, so the people who identify as problem solvers, maybe they're most proud of sort of either their theorems or maybe more specifically the proofs of their theorems. The people who identify as kind of theory builders, I think, which is what I identify with a little bit more. I'd say like probably a majority of my friends identify more on the problem solving side. I identify more as the theory building side. And so, more, there's definitely theorems I've proved that I'm proud of, but really, if I look back, I'm kind of, probably I'm more proud of some of the definitions that I came up with. Because, personally, I really like, I really like kind of setting up a new playground in which lots of other mathematicians can kind of play for like many years to come, right? And so that, to me, that's what a good theory is, and having good definitions, right? So the way I assess kind of, whether it was sort of an important definition is like how many other people build on it. Is it useful for other people formulating and proving new really cool theorems, okay? So, and, again, like mathematics can only succeed with sort of very strong people in both of these camps. And so again, I just think it's good to just sort of recognize that there's like, lots of different people contributing in different ways, and all of it is sort of completely essential. The other one I'll mention is, kind of mathematicians who lean more on, let's call it the pure side, versus those that, maybe sort of more inward looking, where it's perhaps mathematics for its own sake, just for sort of the intrinsic, kind of beauty. And then sort of a more externally looking type of mathematics. So if you want to call it applied, but just in general kind of mathematicians that are more interested in exporting their ideas out to sort of, sort of a broader community. And again, both types are very common and both types are very important, right? So, one like famous example would be kind of Hardy and Littlewood, working on sort of number theory in the early 20th century, with George Hardy famously saying he loved number theory because there were no conceivable applications of those mathematics. He really felt like it was just the most aesthetically pure and pleasing part of mathematics. And, definitely in part because he felt that way. I mean, there's no doubt that that goes part and parcel with him doing amazing work in it, right? Like you're going to do your best mathematics on something you really are passionate about and something you find beautiful. Then, of course, the twist in the story was, in 1979, right, Ravesh, Shamir, and Edelman came up with their public key crypto system, right, the RSA crypto system, which crucially relies on sort of, number theory facts, frankly, a little bit more elementary than what Hardy and Littlewood were working on, but still definitely kind of, basic number theory is sort of the crucial tool for public key cryptography. And so that's just, so the point is like, even if Hardy didn't actually, what's amazing about mathematics is like anything anyone produces, anybody can use, right? It doesn't, your worst enemy can sort of prove some new theorem, but then you get to sort of build on that theorem and like prove your own new result and use that as a stepping stone. So like independent of the personalities involved, it's an intrinsically collaborative discipline, right? Because you're always just building on what people have done sort of before you. So even though Hardy may not have been interested in application, it didn't matter, right? All of the theory that he developed was there available, for, in particular, RSA to sort of build on and do applied things with it. And maybe I'll just wrap up with like one more modern example closer to kind of what I'm thinking about these days about the same kind of pure versus applied dichotomy. So I've been thinking a lot about blockchain technology recently, Web3, and something that's just sort of amazing for me to see as a theoretical computer scientist. So in the 1980s, theoreticians came up with the idea of a proof system. And this is sort of folks like Shafi Goldwasser, Avi Vigderson, Odie Goldreich. Those are the kinds of figures involved in this work in the 1980s, Sylvia Macaulay. And proof systems were originally developed for very pure intellectual reasons. It was really there. So what is a proof system? A proof system is basically, it's an attempt to try to mathematically articulate what a proof actually is. And crucially, proofs are allowed to involve both interaction and potentially randomness, right? Which is not, your first thought about what is a proof, oh, well, it's kind of, a sequence of, lines in a textbook, each of which like follows from the previous one, and they all make sense, and therefore the conclusion follows from the hypothesis. That's kind of the most obvious definition of proof. And so computer scientists in the 1980s said, you know what, actually, let's not think about just someone kind of reading a textbook at home. Let's actually think about a teacher and a student. Okay, what does it mean that sort of like the teacher convinces the student of some new fact, right? And if you think about it, if you think about the back and forth that happens in the classroom, right? I mean, it's not like, if it's a good teacher, they're not going to say, here, read page 17 of this book, right? That's not going to be the conversation. There's going to be a back and forth. The teacher will say some stuff. The student will kind of say like, okay, I understand this, I don't understand this. Maybe there's even sort of randomization, like the teacher kind of asks random questions to check the understanding kind of the student. And so that was the initial intuition that like a proof is actually something more general than just sort of reading a bunch of text in a textbook. And so the proof system is the mathematical articulation of this idea. So the formalism is you have two parties. You have a prover who is sort of more knowledgeable and or more powerful, and you have a verifier who is less knowledgeable and or less powerful. And the question is, what types of facts can the prover convince the verifier of through this kind of interactive protocol. So that's a proof system, and it gave rise to a lot of the, frankly, most famous theorems in all of computer science, like IP equals P space, zero knowledge for all of NP, the PCP theorem, all stuff you would study as a graduate student, as a PhD student in theoretical computer science. So that was all the 1980s. It was done purely by sort of, mathematicians who were studying the mysteries of the computational universe. We're trying to capture mathematically the essence of what a proof really means. It turns out, and again, this is the plot twist, it turns out that right now, right, speaking in 2022, proof systems of a special type called snarks are actually going to be completely essential for blockchain technology to realize its full potential. Okay, and let me just say like maybe a little bit about what that connection is, and then we'll wrap up. So I like to think of a blockchain as like a computer that's running in the sky. Okay, so basically you have a whole bunch of physical computers collaborating in a simulation of a virtual machine that sits on top of the internet, like Ethereum being sort of maybe a very common example. So there's in effect the blockchain, logically speaking, as an abstraction, it's just a computer that lives up there in the sky. It sort of executes code in public view and anybody can use it. Now, the one sort of trick about like thinking of a blockchain like Ethereum as a computer in the sky is it's a very primitive computer. Okay, it's a computer about as like powerful as the ones we had 50 years ago. And so to really realize their full applications, right, blockchains that computer in the sky is going to need to get a lot more powerful than it is right now. And so the question is, how is that going to happen? And proof systems are really part of the roadmap of how that's going to happen. The idea being that you actually kind of graft in additional like really powerful computers. And the point is you will use exactly these proof system ideas for the really powerful provers to sort of do work on the side, inform a blockchain like Ethereum about the consequence of their results in a verifiable way. So the analog is the computer in the sky, the blockchain, Ethereum, what have you, that's like the students in the classroom. That is the less knowledgeable, the sort of less kind of powerful verifier. Whereas the off-chain computation, these sort of supercomputers that are processing transactions, that is the prover. And the the off-chain computers are responsible for convincing the student, the blockchain, of the correctness of their computations. So I offer you that as just like another example of sort of one, the interplay between mathematicians working on stuff really just for sort of pure aesthetic reasons, and those that are sort of looking outward about how those can really change the world. I wanted to give you an example, which is super, super timely, and certainly snarks for scaling blockchains is a big one. So like I said, I mean, this event is really not about me, it's about all the rest of you. So let me just sort of stop here. If there's time for questions, I'm happy to take a couple. If it's better to move on with the ceremony, that's great too. So congratulations to everybody. This should be the very beginning of what should be a very exciting and satisfying journey for all of you. So congratulations.
Thank you, Professor Avkaran. Does anyone have any questions? Maybe they can raise their hands or type it out in the chat. Now we can take one question if there is any. All right. Okay. I think people are still, thinking about the intriguing talk that you just gave. Felt like, we're listening to philosophy of mathematics. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. It was very, very inspiring. I wish we could, we could have you as one of the guest lecturers in the future Epsilon. So thank you so much for being here once again.
My pleasure. Take care, everyone.
Thanks. Moving on, I would like to invite everyone's favorite, Dr. Thomas, to address the audience. So Dr. Thomas, over to you.
This is a special year for me. I am very happy because this is the 30th year. I'm completing 3 decades working with students who love mathematics. And this could be the last year. The reason is I am quite old. So I am trying to finish some of the research and writing I have been doing. So this is an opportunity for me to interact with you. And it makes me very happy because all these years I have been helping in America and Canada and even in China. But I didn't do much for my mother country. So it makes me very happy that we have Chintu and Vinay who launched this, and I was happy to support their work. This work is very important for India because India has a history of caring for deep questions and philosophy, and hence mathematics. And we lately haven't achieved in proportion to our potential. And this camp and raising a mathematician can help in that direction. Why? You see, mathematics really is a young person's game. Just like some sports are. You see, a world-class tennis player or a soccer player will retire by the time he or she is 40. A world-class mathematician generally doesn't produce world-class work after 40. Generally. Most of the great discoveries in mathematics were done by people before they were 40. Interesting. Although a great mathematician who is 40 or 50 or 60 will feel that he's going to produce big work. It is usually a wishful thinking, and it is good. So it is important that you get into this mathematics, music, or sports while you are very young, like now. In America, we take students at age 7 because we used to take even students at age 6, and we found that it is a bit too early. By 7, we have found that they are ready, and we build them up. So why do you come to a summer camp in mathematics? That is the question. Why do you need to go to a summer camp in mathematics? The one reason is that if you want to produce great work, good work, I'm assuming you are already good in mathematics, you have to learn a lot even before you can start doing stuff. Serious stuff means needs serious study. So right now, because of your age, you are trying to accumulate the knowledge needed to begin to ask questions and to solve problems, and to start learning mathematics in a serious way. You need to learn it from mathematicians, because they have done mathematics. They have experienced mathematics, and they know many of the concepts in mathematics. So it is good that you learn from the mathematician who is present at summer camps like this. See, at the Epsilon camp in America, we have proved that for about 10 years now, and students are happy about it, parents are happy about it. So you come to a math camp because you want to get started early in a serious way. You need to be taught serious mathematics, and this is not possible in the school you go to. The reason is, it's not the fault of the school. It's not the fault of the system. A fault of the, well, it's not the fault of the school or the teacher, I mean. See, a school has the public coming there. Those who are interested in mathematics, interested in music, interested in soccer, they are all there in that class. Teacher cannot teach the serious mathematics you were taught in that class. People will just doodle. There will be only 1 or 2 students, if that, in a class at your level. So they cannot be taught this kind of mathematics. They can be taught the mathematics that is taught in school. So if you want to get started in mathematics, serious mathematics early, you must go to these camps. You can also go to small groups of students such as you. So at these camps, 1, you get serious mathematics and get started early. But you might say, hey, I can get that from the internet. So why do I go to the summer camp? See, as the professor who was speaking before I am doing it, told us many important things. One of them was, mathematics is a collaborative discipline. It is something you do with yourself and peers. You need other people. You are standing, like Newton said, on the shoulders of giants. You are working on mathematics, part of which or most of which was discovered by others. And this is what you are going to do in real life as a mathematician. So you might as well get started with peers, P-E-E-R-S, that you can get people at your level in a math camp like this. That is the second reason you come to the camp. You get peers. This is the advantage you have over the internet. Internet is good. You can ask almost any question and you can get the answer. But at the summer camp, you can get other people like yourself. You can meet your tribe, like they say, right here. That is the second reason you go to the summer camp. Now, what happens? So what is the result, end result of going to a camp like this? The end result is you are more excited about mathematics than when you came in. If a camp doesn't produce that, the camp has failed. If any one of you who came in here is going away from the camp less excited about mathematics, then the camp has failed. Surely there will be some that are excited, but if all are excited, the success of the camp is more. So that is the test of the camp. Of course, that would mean that the camp selects students that are able and suitable for the camp. Otherwise, we won't be able to send them back more excited. The advantage of a camp, the advantage for a mathematician teaching at the camp is that he is facing students not spanning in ability a very wide spectrum. The ability gap of the students at this summer camp will be narrower than at a school class. And therefore, I can give you the real thing. And so that is why the camp is very interesting for the mathematician. And the camp is useful for the student. So now you are going home, starting the journey, hopefully, as a mathematician, which means computer scientist or a theoretical physicist. And so how do you become a good mathematician now that you are almost at the door? Well, I am only an average mathematician, so I cannot say, advise you how to become a good mathematician. So what should I do? I should tell you what the great mathematicians have said about being a good mathematician. So I will quote from a Fields medalist, Timothy Gowers from Oxford University. I think he's from Oxford. If not, he's from Cambridge University in England. Being good at mathematics is being good at getting stuck. Again, being good at mathematics is being good at getting stuck. Being good at mathematics is being good at being stuck. In other words, in a single word, grit, G-R-I-T. Mathematics is not an easy game. It is a game that you will come to love, and therefore you pursue it. but it needs grit, G-R-I-T. It needs tenacity. You are like the Tamahara Indian in America. They are set to try to subdue a prey, P-R-E-Y, an animal, to subdue it, to conquer it, so they can eat it. And the animal will run, and the Tamahara Indian will run after the animal. Animal will run 10 kilometers. The Tamahara Indian is still behind it. Animal will run 30 kilometers. Tamahara Indian is still behind. They say the animal will run 100 kilometers. The Tamahara Indian is still behind. You need to learn being Tamahara Indian if you want to be a mathematician. Tenacity, don't quit. And that's what mathematician does. You take a problem that you love, you understand, and you stay with it. And eventually the problem will open up before you like a bud opens up like a flower. And now you can get that experience already by doing mathematics competitions. Okay? The use of the mathematics competition is this, that you get early training at pursuing mathematics. Because a competition is giving you problems that are doable. The worst thing a student can do is to be facing a problem that is not doable. Because then the student will lose confidence, and it will tell in the next problem he or she faces. Because the staying as mathematician is all about grit and confidence. And you need confidence early in your life. This is why the parents, the mother especially, will encourage the child when the child is doing something. And the mother will say it is great. These competition problems are doable problems. You struggle with them for a few minutes, maybe a few hours, they will open up before you. You solve it, your confidence increases. That is the important thing. And you go to the next problem. And you again do that problem, it will open up before you, and your confidence increases. And these problems do not require university mathematics. These problems only require the understanding you have. That is why these problems are useful for you. The goal you might think of doing mathematics competition is to do well and get a prize. The real benefit of doing the mathematics competition problem is the increase in confidence that you get. So you already have that opportunity, which is even available in the ordinary school, because even a teacher can give you a competition problem to do, and you should try that. You don't have to become a professional problem solver. You just try it at this stage in your life until you get to serious mathematics and in a summer camp or at the university. So to do mathematics, like in music, you have to get this confidence built up early. And also pursue it, if possible, with the exclusion of everything else. You know that a musician will pursue music like to the exclusion of everything. He or she is interested in it. That means that you should think of when life poses problems at you, you should think of problems not the way ordinary people think of problems. You should think of, don't make small issues big. Go the opposite way. Make big issues small. So you can think about your math problem rather than the little problems of life which people make very big. You need peace of mind. It is when you have peace of mind, you can think about these kinds of things. This is why mathematics and philosophy flourished in the post-Periclean age in Greece, because there was peace in the country. This is also important for parents to know. There has to be peace in the house. What do you need to provide these children? First and foremost is not money. Certain amount of money is good. It is necessary. But the most important thing is peace in the house. You can fight outside the world, go ahead. But we cannot fight in the house. If you want your child to do well, you must provide peace. And that's the greatest thing you can provide your child. So it is good that you like mathematics, because I also like mathematics. I found my tribe here. You will notice that I never taught you as an authority. Teaching by authority is not what you need. What I say is not what you obey, because I see you as people bigger than myself. When I look at you, I am not looking at an ordinary student. I am looking at the future mathematician. I am looking at the future professor and scientist who will influence thousands of people. This is why you always saw me as respecting you, and I expect you to go forward and influence thousands of people, and through you I have influenced thousands. Eternity is in love with the productions of time. You are the productions of time. Go forward, become good mathematicians, and above all, be good to people, because without them we are nothing. Thank you.
Okay, need to take that. Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas, for the inspiring words. Some of the takeaways were starting out early, importance of attending summer camps. And thank you so much, and congratulations on achieving the great milestone, completing 30 years. And really such a moving speech you gave to the parents and the students. Thank you so much for that. I would now like to invite Vinay Nair to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Hetal, and thank you, Dr. Thomas, for that heart-touching words. I wouldn't like to add anything to that, because we all feel moved in your presence many a times, and we see how much you have been able to impact to thousands of children. And as you rightly said, through them, your teachings will continue to reach more students whom you may not even meet. So that we are very confident about. And I beg to differ on one thing. We don't think 75 is going to stop you. And we are looking at least for a full century, where we'll have students of these students and probably even their children attend your sessions in future. And I'm being very serious about it. I'm not joking at all. So thank you so much for all the support that you have extended to us right from the beginning, and that you will continue to extend in the years ahead. And thank you for your wonderful words once again in this program. I'll move on to thank a few people whom I should really thank, without which this event will not be complete. And may I request Shreyas to be on action to spotlight a few people as I may call their names. So our chief guest for today, Professor Raf Garden, thank you so much for taking out this time and sharing all those wonderful ideas. A lot of them were new for us, as in the proof systems that you were talking about. This was this was something that was very very new to us, as the latest proof system that you said in computer science. Can you just name that again? I missed to note it.
Sure, it's called the SNARK.
SNARK. Yes.
For succinct, non-interactive argument of knowledge. So,
wow. So thank you so much for bringing all those insights, and we really look forward to have you again in some of our programs. And to students, you can check out a lot of videos of Dr. Tim on YouTube, which are a lot of lectures that he has delivered to his students, and you can benefit from that. So thank you, Professor Raf Garden. Really appreciate you taking out this time from, especially on a weekend, and spending time with us. It really means a lot to us. Thank you so much.
my pleasure. Thanks for the invitation. So
thank you. Next, I would like to thank our knowledge partner, Chennai Mathematical Institute, or CMI, which you all would know is one of the premier institutes for studying theoretical computer science, theoretical physics, or mathematics. And they have been with us supporting all this while since last 3 years for different programs. And it was really amazing this time to get a next student, Professor Aditya Karnataki and Professor KV, who has also joined us for teaching a course. And thank you, Professor KV, for joining us in the valedictory as well. And we look forward to have you for more programs. Thank you. Now I'll move on to thanking our amazing faculty list. So few of them could join today. Few of them had some other commitments that couldn't be avoided. And as you all would have seen, all the faculty were so close to us, right? And I'm sure all the students will agree. And this is the kind of faculty that we all would long to meet, right? They are all teaching undergraduate, postgraduate, or PhD students, but you could feel their excitement when they were talking about mathematics to all of you. So I would really like to thank all the faculty who have joined today and who couldn't join today. Starting from I'll just name the faculty who are present here: Reshma, Tyler, Professor KV, and we have Hariharan, and I think of course Dr. Thomas, and others who couldn't join. So thank you so much for taking out this time. And I know for many of you it was a tough period because your semesters are ending, and I know how tied up you all were, but still you took out time for this, which we really appreciate. And the students really enjoyed each one of your sessions. And I am sure if I leave you with their parents, they will have one full day to talk to you about what they were talking about you back home after every session. So thank you so much for being with us for Epsilon 2022. I'll also like to thank our guest speakers who range from starting with AI, going to biostatistics, and then moving on to physics and yoga, and covering a wide range of topics, who also made the camp really lively. In fact, we got an opportunity to explore a lot of areas beyond the scope of direct application, or what we think is mathematics. So I'd like to thank all the guest speakers. And then we have our power packed TAs and volunteers. So I'll request Shreyas to, had this been a face-to-face camp, we could have called all of them on stage and you could have seen you. So all of them are the, I would say, the hands and legs of Epsilon. And in fact, I don't know, maybe brains and hearts as well. So Sundar, Manu, Srinandan, Sai, Hetvi, Ruhi, Parth, Shriram is not present here. And I would like to thank all of you for taking out this time. And I'm sure these kids are not going to leave you all, even after this camp. So thank you so much for putting in all your thoughts and efforts. And I don't know whether parents got a chance to talk to the students about the TAs during the camps, but I'm sure after the camps they will have a lot of things that they would like to share. In fact, what we have seen is most times the students get inspired from the TAs, a lot more, because they see themselves, oh, in 2-3 years down the line I can be here. And one thing I will request all campers to take back the attitude with which all of them were dealing with you. They always wanted to give back what they had learned, and that is why they were all here. And we really hope that you all take up such initiatives as you grow older, and we'll be happy to have you as TAs and teaching aides in future camps. So thank you all of you for taking out this time and volunteering for this. And then I should also thank our wonderful host for the inaugural as well as valedictory, our own Hetal. So Hetal is Hetal. That is Hetal. Yeah. Yes. So Hetal has always been with us for doing these for comparing all our programs and delivering sessions for our students. In fact, this year Hetal did a guest lecture on time management, and I felt it's not just meant for students, but all of us could also benefit a lot from that talk. And she's always there to support us. Thank you so much, Hetal, for your wonderful presence in all our camps. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have some of them whom you may have interacted, but I interacted maybe a little frequently during or before the camp, and maybe a couple of them you may not have interacted with. So Sindhu, I think, was more in touch with all parents, and maybe Shweta also. So Sindhu and Shweta, Sindhu, I would say, is the person who puts the entire structure for Epsilon, and who puts a lot of thought in what kind of speakers should we have for the program. She's the one who comes up with all the ideas. So Sindhu, thank you so much for bringing, painting this nice picture of Epsilon with all these amazing faculty and guest speakers. Thank you, Sindhu, for all your effort. And then Shweta is is a little invisible, because she handles all the operations and you may not see her quite often. So Shweta is there, who heads our operations, and we have Neha for all the back support, admin, and designing and operations related work. And then we have a masterclass creator, Shriyesh, who does all the videos and all the promotional material along with Neha. So the video that you saw today was credit to Shriyesh. So if you like the video, you can you can put a message in the chat. So these are all the people who have worked behind the scenes. So I'd just like to thank all of them. And last but not the least, all our wonderful champion students, because without them the camp wouldn't happen, right? So my heartfelt thanks to all the students who made this camp so lively, so wonderful, and such a memorable camp. I'm sure not just for us at RAM, but even for the faculty who had, who got a chance to work with you. And I guess for some of them, it may have been a very different experience, because this is probably the first time they taught a course for such young children. So you guys made a big difference to them as well. So thank you for being such a wonderful audience. And lastly, my sincere thanks to all the parents who saw value in this camp and who felt that taking out 2 weeks and 2 weeks of your vacation to and investing in this particular camp is really valuable. So I'd really like to thank all the parents and our other well-wishers who keep supporting Raising a Mathematician Foundation through their volunteering in work, in terms of finances, in terms of all the support. So once again, thank you all, and we look forward to be associated with all of you. And to students especially, this is just the end of Epsilon India 2020, but it's just the beginning. I really hope it's just the beginning for all of you into a deeper world of mathematics. So I wish you all the very best, and do be in touch. I think after this, Hetal, there is something that you have to share, right?
Yeah.
So I'll end my words here. All the best to all of you. Thank you all of you who have joined here for today's valedictory. See you all again soon. Over to you, Hetal.
Thank you so much, Vinay sir. So now we would really appreciate some feedback from both students as well as parents. So we've created a Padlet. It's like a poster, a board where you can go and post your feedback that will be visible to everyone. So Sindhu just shared 2 links, one for students and one for parents. And I'm also sharing my screen where you can get the QR code in case you missed the link in the chat. So what we would like you to do is follow the link, and then tell us how did you like the camp, any memories that you would want to share, any feedback that you would want to give, any constructive feedback. So now let's do that for another 5 to 8 minutes, and then we have our cultural evening, which is my most favorite part of the camp. Where students will get to showcase their talents, like playing music instruments or showing some card tricks, or we have some really great entries this time. So once we are through with this feedback, we will move on to the cultural evening.
Hetal, shall we stop the recording or?
Yeah, we can stop.